Earlier in the month, frequent rumor producer Nate the Hate put forth the claim that we were going to get some sort of Nintendo Direct thing in July. He said that it would happen after the release of DK, and he additionally claimed that there were a lot of third-party companies that had Switch 2 games kind of locked and loaded, and they were all just waiting to reveal them. And to touch on that last part real quick, on the one hand, part of me wants to think that that is a slightly bold claim, just because the April Direct revealed so many. Like, we already have so many third-party games on the schedule. A lot of them we are still waiting on release dates for. But then, on the other hand, that is another one of those kind of safe guesses. You know, like, I mean, I am sure that there are a lot of third-party companies that are kind of scrambling to get their games on the Switch 2. Switch 1 was such a big success that, like, right here, right at the start, like, I guess I'm sure there probably are a whole lot of games just waiting to be revealed. Back to the direct part of this, though. I didn't do a video at the time because I don't always want to respond to this kind of thing. You know, as always, nothing against Nate the Hate, but he is just a guy, and he is the only source of this rumor. And whenever you have a rumor with only one single source, then, you know, fairly suspect, or at least, like, you should take it with a pretty darn big grain of salt. The best rumors are the ones where they're corroborated by a lot of different sources. The thing about him, though, is that he does seem to have a pretty decent track record, at least, like, recently, and at least when it comes to Nintendo Directs and presentations. And you know, of course, that could just be good guesswork, very, very possible. But the reason it's coming up now, the reason I am finally doing a video on it, is someone just asked him on social media if, now that the Pokemon Presents is behind us, if we are still on for a Direct. And his answer was, to my knowledge. Now, if this guy is just good at guessing, absolutely could be, and he's, you know, that's what rumormongers do. They try to game the system. You know, the whole point is to just kind of throw a bunch of obvious guesses out there to try to, like, get attention, you know. And you know, again, not saying necessarily that that's what he does, just covering all my bases here. If that was the case here, then, well, then right here where we are, very, very close to the end of the month, that would be the time to go silent. You know, like, if you've thrown a rumor out there and it's becoming less and less likely that your good guess is going to come true, you want to go quiet. You want people to kind of forget that you ever said that. You know, every time a person makes a claim or doubles down on a claim, then they're kind of putting their reputation on the line. And him saying right now that we are still on for something, I would say that it speaks of at least some level of confidence. Again, I feel like he's had a pretty okay track record recently, and that track record would be tarnished if it turned out that he was wrong in this case, right? I mean, you know, theoretically, that's what would happen. Problem with rumors is who's actually keeping track? Where's, like, the rumor wiki? You know, like, all of the Nintendo rumors and all the people who make the claims and, like, who's been wrong, and that would actually be really helpful. Does anyone out there want to do that? Just, like, Nintendo rumor wiki? We could actually see the track records of every person. That'd be amazing. So the point is, he's doubling down on this, and I mean, each time he's right, and it doesn't just seem like an easy guess, you know, being like, I think we're gonna get something in June, you know, like the kind of, like, super obvious guess. Every time he's actually really right about something, I mean, it really does just seem like he knows someone who knows something, you know, which is weird. Definitely, you know, people who worked at Nintendo are supposed to be very, very tight-lipped, so it is a little frustrating to know that somewhere in the system there is someone who is freely giving knowledge to this guy. I'm slightly surprised that Nintendo hasn't, I don't know, done something. If you have one person who consistently knows this stuff, then, like, I don't know, it's like, where's the leak, man? So I don't know, I'm just saying it is sort of possible that we will get something. However, I think it's just about impossible at this point that we're going to get a regular old Nintendo Direct. I'm definitely not entertaining that idea pretty much whatsoever. If we are getting something, and his other claim is true, that a whole lot of third parties are just waiting to reveal games, then I would say it's perfectly possible that we're about to get a partner showcase. I mean, yeah, like, again, if there are that many companies just waiting to reveal games, you probably couldn't even fit them all in a regular Direct. A partner showcase makes all the sense in the world. I mean, even late in the Switch 1 generation, we were still getting partner showcases. So like, yeah, Switch 2, I'm sure there are just absolutely loads. I'm sure you could fill an entire presentation, just game after game after game that's coming to Switch 2, or both. However, I did not realize this until I just looked it up. But did you know that the last Indie World showcase was last August? I had no idea. I mean, these things happen pretty regularly. Nintendo usually does. I want to say like 2 a year, something like that. And there's almost always one in summer, to my knowledge. So yeah, I did not realize that it has been almost a year since the last Indie World. So yeah, it's been almost a year, and it is summer right now. So I mean, yeah, so I would say an Indie World showcase is maybe even more likely, just because we are so overdue. Funny thing about that is we're talking about indie games, so I feel like most, if not all, of the games in an Indie World showcase would still be about Switch 1. Probably, right? At this point, like either both platforms or just Switch 1, you know, probably a lot of backwards compatibility. I still don't exactly know how all the backwards compatibility works, but yeah, I think an Indie World showcase is very, very likely. However, a partner showcase or partner direct or whatever, that, you know, that also would absolutely work. Both options are perfectly reasonable. And I do want to say that there have been times in the past when we've gotten these kinds of rumors where someone says like, yeah, I hear something's happening. And like, yeah, it ends up being one of those. It's not a direct, but it is some sort of Nintendo presentation. Somehow the word gets around that some sort of presentation is happening. Again, I have no idea how that happens, but like it does. Doesn't necessarily mean a direct. So if it is true that something is coming and Nate the Hate is right, then it's got to be one of those things. And especially because of everything else we've already discussed the idea of a direct happening or not happening around this time of year. Plenty, you know, Nintendo already revealed plenty of stuff last month and this month, suggesting that they're just skipping the regular direct for this chunk of the year, probably just waiting for September. September seems very, very, very likely. I'd put money on it at this point, which would be foolish because June also seemed like a pretty good bet. But now that June didn't happen, I'm just that much more confident in September. Yeah, but we also have to consider that it's also just very late in the month. They usually want to do directs kind of in the middle of the month. So yeah, like it's already, I mean, if they follow the usual schedule of doing it like a Tuesday or Wednesday or something, I know they don't always have to follow those rules, especially because presentations that aren't directs will not always have the exact same rules. I can't remember what day Indie World showcases usually are. But the point is though, like next week is the final week of the month, Tuesday or Wednesday. It's going to be 29, 30. So yeah, seems really unlikely that Nintendo would just drop a direct right at the end of July, like in the last couple days. Whatever the case though, we will have to wait and see. And you know what? I will say, if this turns out being true, if it is true that we get something near the end of the month, then Nate the Hate is gonna get a lot of credit. A lot of credit. Again, he's the only person that I know of, that I have seen, who is making this claim. We didn't get a main direct, but we still got a Pokemon Presents. You look at a Pokemon Presents, and you would be perfectly within your right to assume that Nintendo wouldn't want to put another different presentation that close to Pokemon Presents. You know, the Pokemon Presents kind of takes up that chunk of this month, you know, kind of fills it with a good amount of Nintendo adjacent news. So like, I don't know, I could see them not doing another presentation until next month at the earliest, maybe even waiting until September. So yeah, him making this claim and no one else is even giving, just for like a guess, you know, no one else is even guessing this. If it happens, then like, yeah, I think that'd be pretty much a guarantee that he does have some kind of connection. And I don't know, probably means that we should listen when he says stuff like this, which again, I don't know how that wouldn't get Nintendo knocking on his door being like, hey, can you please tell us which person is telling you this top secret information? We'd really love to know. They probably can't do anything to him directly because it's not like he's, you know, he's not like leaking actual real info or, you know, assets or trailers or, you know, like, oh, they're doing this game. I hacked into the thing and I got this info. I got these screenshots. Like, that's one thing. But just being like, I heard there's going to be a thing. Anyone can say that, right? I don't know. He could argue he is just a good guesser. I don't know how it works, but if it does turn out he's right, I don't know. I want to say I'd be slightly nervous. I'd be just very, very slightly nervous. I was gonna get an email with a somewhat serious tone, where you get Doug Bowser showing up at your door on a rainy night